No group in America has been more harmed by Hillary Clinton's policies than African Americans. No group. No group. If Hillary Clinton's goal was to inflict pain on the African American community, she could not have done a better job. It's a disgrace. Tonight, I'm asking for the vote of every single African American citizen in this country who wants to see a better future. Look how much African American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose? I say it again, what do you have to lose? Look, what do you have to lose? You're living in poverty, your schools are no good, you have no jobs, 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose? America must reject the bigotry of Hillary Clinton, who sees communities of color only as votes, not as human beings worthy of a better future.
It is a great honor to be here. A place where Lincoln served, was inaugurated, and where the nation he saved bid him a last farewell. As we mark the bicentennial of our 16th president's birth, I cannot claim to know as much about his life and works as many who are also speaking today. But I can say that I feel a special gratitude to this singular figure who in so many ways made my own story possible, and in so many ways made America's story possible. What Lincoln never forgot, not even in the midst of civil war, was that despite all that divides us, North and South, black and white, we were at heart one nation and one people, sharing a bond as Americans that could bend but would not break. And so even as we meet here today, in a moment when we are far less divided than in Lincoln's day, but when we are once again debating the critical issues of our time, and debating them sometimes fiercely, let us remember that we are doing so as servants of the same flag, as representatives of the same people, and as stakeholders in a common future. That is the most fitting tribute we can pay, the most lasting monument we can build to that most remarkable of men, Abraham Lincoln. Thank you.
Say to the ancestors. It's a nice day, just out riding around in my nice brand new car.
Oh shit! The fuck? I was driving the speed limit. I knew I should have not drove down this motherfucking block. Damn, let me pull my ass over. Damn, man. My child support paid up. Damn, man. Did I go to all my damn courts? Oh shit, this motherfucker. Come on, look at this motherfucker. Looking like Chips and shit, walking his ass up here. Let me roll my window down. Yes, officer, how you doing? Oh, was there a problem, officer? Oh, yeah, I have license and registration. No problem. Insurance, yeah, I have all that. Can you just, what was the reason for you pulling me over? Oh, okay, no need to ask. Okay, no problem. Okay, you know, oh, hold on. I don't want to move too fast. You know, if I move too fast, you know. If I move too fast, you know what I mean? I don't want to startle you, make you think that I was going for anything other than my wallet. So let me just go ahead and ease my hand in here. See, easing. See, watch my hands. See, wallet. See, okay. I'm opening it now. Okay, I'm just gonna open it. Okay, ID. All right, so here you go. Here's my license. I will not go into my glove compartment until you understand that I have to go into the glove compartment, and you know, which I have it locked, so I have to use my key, which means I have to turn the ignition, take the key out. So you know, I want to give you all these prompts to let you understand that I'm not going for a gun or I'm not trying to escape. Okay. All right, so go in here and okay, here's my insurance. Pretty sure it's up to date. You know, we'll never want to do that. We'll never lapse on my insurance. Okay. All right, no problem, officer. All right. I have my seatbelt on. Have my turnstile on. Okay. I tell you, boy, I tell you. Motherfucker, what you looking at? Are you driving the fuck? I mean, what the fuck is that shit? Motherfuckers driving by, always look. Nigga, you ain't never seen the police pull nobody over before? The fuck, yeah, I be hating that shit. You know what I'm saying? Sitting there minding my own damn business, driving by shit. If I want to go all extra slow, I'm about whipping my ass. I bet you won't be jumping your ass out to help with you, pulling out a phone and shit. What the fuck is that shit? You know what I'm saying? Look at my rearview mirror. Motherfucker's still in there. He taking a long ass damn time, man. Shit. And I hope our ass didn't do that shit, man. I hope our ass didn't call down there try to get no money out of me. I tell you, boy. What did we deal with us here, man? Oh shit. He didn't see that, did he? Oh shit, I had a roach. I had that roach. Let me push that roach over a little bit. God damn it. Oh, I had a roach in here. This motherfucker would have been wanting to search the car. Oh my, they'd beat the shit out of me. Alright, it's like he's still searching. What is he searching for? I mean, come on. He still ain't told me what to give me a ticket for. Well, I'll tell you, boy. Must be something. What? His partner get out the car. What the fuck he get out the car for? What, a flashlight? What's that all about? He's actually looking in the back window. Like, what? Yes. Oh, let me look. Yeah. Can you search my car? I wouldn't have a problem if I understood what's the problem here. Just for safety measures. For whom? Is everything in accordance to what you stopped me with? I mean, is there anything else added? Or you seen a bag in the back? Oh, that's my gym bag. Can you want me to open it? Open the gym bag? May I ask you, is there any suspects in the area you're looking for? I mean, I'm on my way home from work. I mean, I'm just minding my own business. Oh, there was a call of a car that fits my description and said it was stolen. Well, is my car coming up stolen? Oh, really? Okay. All right. That's a damn shame. My car's coming soon, and I don't pay for this damn thing. Oh, you were mistaken. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. You see a bottle sticking out of my bag? My bag is zipped. All right, the other one's getting out of the car. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you. And the ticket is for what, your officer? I have an air freshener obstructing my view. Really? The air freshener right here? This is a $50 ticket. You were for my safety. You were saying that when I was driving that the air freshener in my rear view mirror was obstructing my view, which could have caused me to have an accident. You're so wonderful, officer. You are. I would have never thought to take that down if it was blocking my view. I used to be in the when we were going to school, you used to go to school and you had a paper bag over the window. I was in that class, Yeah, I was really in one of those classes. So, okay. Guess I'll just be on my way then, huh? Oh, my front tire's a little low. I need to get some air in it. Oh, okay. Thank you for. Huh? Those are rims. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know. Is my tent is a little too dark, it's too like limo? It's too dark. Oh, okay. Okay. Huh? Oh, this here? I guess a hat. It seems a little tilted. It's tilted a little bit. What? Okay, you want it straightened? Right, let me straighten it a little bit. Oh, really? I didn't know there was. Oh, I didn't know if your hat was to the back. That was. Oh, probable cause. I didn't know that. Oh, really? Damn. Okay. Could I have got a warning for this? Maybe I could just take it down and tell it to the judge. Oh, okay. Okay. Do I live around here? I gave you my license, officer. Pretty sure you kind of read that. No? Oh, okay. No, I'm on my way home. Where am I coming from? Am I free to go? I seem a little agitated. What do you mean? I'm complying, and we've gone through the transactions, and everything seems to check out okay, and you gave me the ticket, so there's no need for us to continue on. I don't see anything. What do you mean step out of the car? What? Step out of the car? Sass mouth from you.
It's a Jaguar, dude.
Heading north alley 79. 75 by barrel. Heading north alley from 75 barrel. Back up 75 right now.
75th.
What's your location now?
Going back out north on Maryland, going up circle, someone to the 75th Street. Going towards 74 now.
Going towards 74.
Okay,
Got him, you got him.
This is a system of intimidation and criminality, and I'm tired of seeing the footage. This is a civil rights violation. Why isn't Loretta Lynch dispatching civil rights lawyers to investigate these violations? Probably because she has them all looking at the police in the city of Chicago, Baltimore, and Milwaukee. These are riot starters, plain and simple. and Donald Trump is right. But until the Trump supporters realize, some of them, this is not for everybody, but I gave them a strategy. Travel in packs, travel in groups. And if you see Trump supporters traveling alone, say, hey, come on over here with us, join us, for protection. If you see a Trump supporter by him or herself and they're under attack, move in with your group and take action, because these individuals still have the right of self-defense to defend themselves when the police aren't there. Until there's some sort of counter move by the Trump supporters, this stuff's only going to get worse.
Gunsmoke. And starring James Arness as Matt Dillon.
Nothing here except 2 kegs of gunpowder. What happened to that brush?
We got baby spare ribs, roast beef, hot links, and more to give. Cube steaks, hot dogs, rib tips, ooh, pork chops, turkey wings, and chicken wings too. Give me a wave if you like catfish. Jump up if it's your favorite dish. Tommy likes ribs and chicken wings. If you like you, let me hear you scream. Wave for catfish. Scream for ribs. Ooh, yoink.
What the fuck do you mean that I can't apply, I can't get a job? What the fuck you mean I can't live in this fucking country? What the fuck has got to do with my skin color? What the fuck is all this shit is bullshit about? Motherfuckers, they always want to act like they're doing some shit when they ain't doing shit. I'm tired of this motherfucking shit, and you should be tired of this shit too. And goddammit, the motherfuckers out here got us on there walking on motherfucking eggshells and shit like that, and they think that we supposed to sit down and take this shit and be sitting like a motherfucker right in the corner and don't say shit about nothing. What the fuck they think this is? Man, fuck that shit. Hey, how's y'all doing? I'm Mr. Blows Your Minds, your whiteologist, bringing my listeners the news, the histories, the story, the underline, the in-between lines, the slant, the spin, the analogies, to you globally, internationally, nationally, but especially in America. Connecting the dots to reveal the hidden. And my subject for today. I know I've been gone for a little bit, y'all, and I know that, so much has happened since the last time I did drop a video. First and foremost, what I want to do is I want to get out the way is I want to tell all my subscribers and those who come and visit my channel that I appreciate, and it is because of you that I continue to do what I do, how I do, and why I try to keep edifying for those who can understand the madness that I bring. Now, there is a science to it, and those who are, I'll say, avid viewers kind of get a concept of what I am bringing, because as people today and all the things that are happening, sometimes you need to be able to get in between the story to know how things connect, what are the histories to it, what parts of it is relevant, what is detrimental to you. And so as a whiteologist, what I do is I try to bring that information. Now, again, we're in the political season, right? And as you've seen at the beginning of this video, I said I started off with Donald Trump and that speech that he made a couple days ago. Now, accordingly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the interpretation of the in-betweens of how I interpreted what he has said. Now, he said, no group in America has been more harmed by Hillary Clinton's policies than African Americans. Then he says twice, no group. Now, we as the people from the root of the blacks that are considered Americans in America, this isn't against those who have foreign parents, which we are all in the family of melanin, but those who resided from somewhere else and came here on their own cognates. what is being said by Donald Trump and what he's trying to articulate and trying to convey may not resonate with those type of people, but the people who are like myself, who are descendants of this land, who have blood, sweat, and tears that is in this soil, and we are the fabric and the foundation of this nation, it can be very offensive to some things that people are saying, and especially when they're trying to push off on the other. Again, in some of my videos, I have told you about taking responsibility, and there's people of a particular persuasion who do not like to take the responsibility. They always want to be deflected in their tactic. So let's take what Donald Trump has said. No group in America, meaning the ethnicities, the races, right, that are in America, accordingly to what he is stating, no group has been harmed more by the policies, but he tries to individualize it by talking about Hillary Clinton, as if Hillary Clinton, as of 2016 or whatever her tenure has been in her political career, has put all the policies on whatever she has yayed to, has affected African Americans more than any other politician in the history of this country. Now again, let me tell you, I do not advocate for Hillary Clinton nor Donald Trump. I myself look at the political arena as something that has not much to do with us nationally, but I believe that if we were to look at, and if we're going to try to do anything that's going to have any kind of, let's say, present, right? Anything that is presently, that can be utilized through what people may say government, would have to be locally, and these are the things we're going to have to look at. Now, with that being said, when Donald Trump is stating that Hillary Clinton's policies, I'm saying, no, it ain't she just because she's a female and she's a Clinton. We have to look at it in its entirety as a race, the ethnicity, the whole classification of that clan, that family. It was founded upon that, right? And it has been beneficial for that, so that here we are talking about, or they are talking about, a 45th president in this country, which 45 times 4, right, will get you about 180. So in 180 years, accordingly, we have now had 8 years of a presumably African black American. See how I said that? African American black, but technically he is not. So in the 180 years that they want to, or he is stating that the policies by Clinton, whether her husband as well is included, because again, that whole dynamic of how this thing works is just, I'll get to that when I get to that. But anyway, so the policies, it's not just her. She's just one individual. It has to be a conglomerate of people who sit down and devise and scheme and come up with in think tanks of legislations and laws and amendments and things that will have the detriment that we see and continue to see, right? And the policies that has been plaguing us has not been just on one party in particular. Now, he goes on and he says, if Hillary Clinton's goal was to inflict pain on the American or the African American community, she could not have done a better job. It is a disgrace. Now, again, what has the policies in the 180 years of a CEO running the company of this nation has brought upon the nation of the downtrodden, right? The disenfranchised communities in this whole nation has always been from in those laws. Yes, we have had people who have come and been participants. I think only, if I'm not mistaken, I think in 2013 or 15, the first time in the history where they ever two, I think it's senators ever in the history of this land. We're still talking about the first, y'all, right? So based on that alone, the community's been inflicted on the pain by legislations and laws for over 180 years, and even longer than that. But again, it's easier to deflect and say one instead of saying collectively. So to me, I just say that what we see here with Donald Trump is basically a white man who is gone on national TV and has said things that we've always known that existed. But guess what? Never out in the open is what he has said, right? And I have to say this because, see, I know a lot of people will say, well, Donald Trump is a racist, and, you know, okay, let's just say that be the facts, okay? Well, I'm not saying I'm disagreeing with that. Let's say, let's take that to be the fact. So, let's say that if a person who is coming across in a way that is not presentable or likable in your taste, but yet they're presenting facts, do you shun the facts, or because you can't hear because of the persona that the person displays? Well, I give you an analogy. If there was a such thing as $1 billion bill, and somebody told you that you had to go down in the sewer where all the shit and piss and all the nastiness is down in that sewer, in that sewer there is $1 billion bill, and if you get it, it is yours. Now, there's some people just on the vibration of my voice, when I said that, became a little bit uneasy, felt squirmish, ill. I wouldn't do that. But there's some people who say, I'll go through the shit to get to that $1 billion. So the fact of the matter is that something can be dressed up in such a way, like, let's say a person may not be appealing to your eyes. They may not have the stature that you so desire. They may not dress right, even smell. But does that negate the fact that what they're bringing to you is true? Or do you just only hear when it's dressed up like a Christmas package for those who went to Christmas? If it comes across like a package nicely wrapped and with a nice bow and a card, and you understand? If it comes in that way. Matter of fact, in some of my research some time back, I remember reading, I know I got the book here, that they said if you really knew what Jesus looked like, because they had to change the depiction of Jesus for those who believe in that, right? That the depiction that you got was like they say today, airbrushed, right? He was airbrushed and fixed up. They said, but the real Jesus, if you seen him as they depicted, they said that he was a little short man with a hunchback. Now, I'm only the messenger, y'all. Don't be mad at me, but I'm just telling you what it said. I have the publication, but I'm just saying that's what it said. So now, whether that's factual or not, but the fact that what I'm trying to show here is sometimes truth don't come in the package that you want it to come in. And so sometimes you have to take truth how it comes. It's not going to always be dressed up finely and packaged right. It may come in the form of a person that you would least likely know where they was coming from. So let's go on. So here's a white man stating publicly, nationally, about the inflicted pain on African American communities based on the policies of just one particular person, but I'm not talking about her in particular. I'm talking about entirely. And so he said she couldn't have did a better job. Now that's just her. Now what about all of them? Have they all been doing a great job of the condition and plight of the African American people? This is relevant and prevalent, and we can see it, right? So it goes on and said it's a disgrace. Really? We always know there's been a disgrace. It's just, can y'all see the disgraceness in it, right? Can you see that? He says, tonight I'm asking for the vote of every single African American citizens in this country who wants to see a better future. Isn't that something? I've been telling you of several videos that you cannot choose the president nor the vice president. That's why they call it superdelegates and electoral college. Again, my analogy. You got money, I ain't got no money. But you gonna let me tell you how to spend your money? What you with money gonna tell me? You crazy, right? So that's the game here. Why, when you have the masses of people who are poor, all I had to do is go shop around on the internet and you'll see that the disparity in wealth in this country, and look at the majority of the people have no money. So you gonna tell me the majority of people who, according to this democracy, who's supposed to be the power of the people, is going to tell people who got money where they need to reallocate their money and what they need to spend their money on and what they need to do? They ain't trying to hear that. And if you believing in that, then, you know, they got you, right? So he's asking for the vote. Again, that's the game that's being played. See, that's why they keep saying these certain things, to make you feel like you're really a part of the system when they know that you are not. Again, we're going to find out who this citizen really is anyway. Then he goes on and says about a better future. Now, when you look at these sci-fi futuristic type movies, do you see a lot of black people in their, what they consider futuristic? Do you even see? I mean, LeVar Burton was a blind man. Hawk was, you know, that was just the show in itself. He had to put him there. But other than that, how many futuristic movies have you seen where black people are all up in space with them? And then people lost their mind when they did that Star Wars with that brother, and they was saying how they done spent it, and that you tainting the story, right? So futuristic and relying upon the people who have done a great job, that is disgraceful, and we're supposed to put our eggs in that basket, right? So he goes on, he says, look how much the African community has suffered under the Democratic control. As if the other wing of that bird has not been complicit in the same demise of the same people. See, that's the game they want to play. The analogy is a bird. You know, a bird got a head, it got a body, got feet, it got one wing, and a left wing and a right wing, right? They want you to believe that a bird, right, that one wing is not even tied to the same bird. So they give you Republican and Democrat and make those people who are under that to believe that they're separate because of the ideology, but the agenda is the same. They have difference in ideology because you got to, again, later in my dissertation, I'm going to show you the origins of this, okay? And so if that bird flies east, both wings are going east. If that bird goes west, both them wings are going west. If that bird goes north, both wings are going north. And if that wing goes south, they're going south together. So again, it's a game. This is the game that they play. And so the suffering has been under the whole bird, not just a wing, the whole bird. So he says, as a relief to what he just said, to those I say, the following. What do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose? Well, he's saying, hey, if that's what she's been giving you, what is different than what I would give you? Matter of fact, in the whole 180 years of this whole establishment, I know that your people have been programmed to be Democratic. I'm a Republican. If you know a little history, as Mr. Blow Your Mind is going to show you, you would come back to me. But when Mr. Blow Your Mind get done showing you, you say, it don't matter. It ain't even two less of the evils. It's just evil. You understand what I'm saying? That's being kind, saying lesser when they both equal. You get what I'm saying? So, this whole notion, right, that we got nothing to lose. No, the fact of the matter is they have more to lose. If you never had anything and you always been scraping, trying to survive, again, let's just look at the conditions of our people, those who hustle out here, whether they male or female, those who sell poison to our people, and those who selling their bodies and hustling their bodies, whether male or female, and I'm not condoning none of this. I'm just, as this part of the dissertation. And then we see how high the crime is, and we see that the disparity brings about this, as he's going to later on say some things that I'll talk about once we get there. So both of them are culprits in this. You understand what I'm saying? No one is actually not a defendant. We as the plaintiffs, you need to defend yourself. You're the defendant and we're the plaintiff. And everybody wants to act as if like that there's not all of us collectively, when that's what it's always been. Okay? So what do we have to lose? He said again. What do you have to lose? Look, what do you have to lose? See, he's bringing in that mantra, right? What do you have to lose? It's kind of like, yes, we can. What do you have to lose? Yes, we can. What do you have to lose? Yes, we can, right? That little mantra, he wants that to stick to you, right? But he goes on and he says something that we've all been knowing this, but to have a white man say it openly, right? To have him say it so openly when he says this. I say it again, what do you have to lose? Right? You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose? Huh? Again, sometimes creators sing you things, and sometimes some people, again, it's not packaged right. And so you didn't see it. He's telling you what we've always known. And so if he's saying this, and I'm talking about them collectively, then they all know this. And if they all know this, and as I talked about how our people, they struggle and they, sacrifice and doing all kinds of things, trying to maintain, support family, and at the same time bring a detriment to the communities and a hard lifestyle. And yet, here's a man who is in that percent of people. When I break it down, he knows that he says you're living in poverty, but he wants to blame it on the Democrat only and their policies, as if this bird didn't have two wings. He wants to say your schools are no good. Yes, they'll take out the nice choices ones with a good mind and has some natural abilities, and then they'll mold them and shape them so they can put them in the cog in their machine, right? And he says that you have no jobs. Of course we don't have no jobs because you are the one creating them. And I know that we've gotten to the mindset that we're trying to all now create, but again, we in 2016. This game been played when we didn't even know it was a game being played. Yes, we need to be making those steps. And yes, we need to be doing local elections and things of that to try to make some foundation, because again, as he stated, 58% of the youth have no jobs. Well, if 58% of the youth ain't got no jobs, then what about the parents, especially black men? And again, we only 12, 13, 14% of the country, and yet these numbers are half of the certain age group. What about, again, you got high incarceration of men, and then you have some that are not even able educationally to be a part of the new transformation of technology. So again, policies, procedures, right? Schemes, devices, right? Machinations. All these, are these a part of it? So what the hell do we have to lose? The point is, what do you have to lose? What do you got to lose? When you are a person with nothing to lose, you got nothing to lose. It is you who got a lot to lose, right? So it says America must reject the bigotry of Hillary Clinton, who sees communities of color only as voters, not as human beings or worthy of a better future. America must not reject the bigotry of Hillary. Well, this whole nation was built on that. It was constructed. It has been divided on it. It has been segregated by it. You understand? And so that has permeated this whole land. And it has taken this ideology outside of this land and have taken it to other lands. So you can't blame that just on Hillary. Again, isolated individualists. And what you need to do is collectively, ethnicity, race, clan. You understand what I'm saying? And we've always known, because the only time we see these people who come and with these words with sugar and spice and trying to make it sound like that I sympathize and apathetic to your conditions and I'm gonna do what I can. But again, you're just one person. And so as long as we've been fighting, go back to the 60s. You remember when they used to have our ancestors out there who were wearing signs that said, I am a man. I am a man. And here he's saying that she's saying that not as human, but again, she's just one person. Again, she comes from a family, who comes from people, who comes from an ideology, who comes from a race, who don't look at us in that form of fashion, do they? But he'll say her. But it's been collectively. And we've been fighting in what seems to be logical to understand that what's the difference between you and I, other than we're melanated and you are less melanated, or have any melanin, or you or was it you melanin? Right? Right? Fail and met you, right? Right? There's a difference between them two, right? I'll get back to that later. So, what better future? The future can only be better. We already at the ground. That's why what we got to lose, you got everything to lose. All we can do is go up. You can come down. So my next clip is going to start off with Barack Obama. All right, so we have Obama in the next clip. And Obama is doing a commemorating, or he is doing a commencement speech of a 200-year anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln. Now, I played the clip so that you could hear the speech that he had said at that particular time. And I thought it was ironic that a person, when you look at his entry into the political realm and the whole persona of how they made Barack Obama to come across as a person, as a parallel to Abraham Lincoln, I thought it was a little strange, or just maybe having a twist in the speech as showing that why he uses that platform and why he may have used it, and then how in a biological sense it really doesn't have any relevance to him. Okay. Now, I speak on this behalf, again, is not to disassociate our brothers and sisters who are of melanin, who may have parentage or lineage that derive from other lands and continents. But when we're talking about in America, the black Americans, the ones who have the blood, sweat, tears, pain, anguish, you understand, that we have and continue in so many different forms of fashion than it was in those particular days to where we are today. This here is more, heartfelt, right? We have a bond to this soil. And so when Barack Obama, again, who was a person coming out of the state of Illinois, who ran as a senator, and on his platform used, again, the parallel of Abraham Lincoln as kind of the idealistic or ideology that he was going to use. But again, I will get into the aspect of the actual words of Lincoln. And this take that a person who was personified as a African descendant of America, not that he's not a black American in the title of it, because again, any person who, according to how that whole immigration process goes, anyone who can get or attain the status of a citizen becomes under the mantra of the umbrella as an American. So he has in one aspect a lineage of a parentage that is of the lineage of America, but I don't know how deep it does go. But according to what they have told us, his father comes from the continent, right? Or Kenya, right? So he has no real biological ties as into the African American experience. And I think they use, I ain't even gonna say I know they use Michelle Obama as the link bridge to us. Now, we have not had an African American descendant of the soil to represent in this country. And you're never going to have one. You have to ask yourself, if you had an enemy or was oppressing someone, would you allow them, right, to be able to have an authority that they could use against you? So we got to understand that the America is a corporation, a family corporation, right? And when you have businesses, they have different tiers and levels of management, right? And so when you look at this corporation, the CEO or the HNIC, which is Barack Obama, he is a figurehead to the missing cap on the pyramid, which is the Wizards of Oz that controls it all. He's just running the business as a manager of a store. You have managers, supervisors, sometimes have GMs, right? And assistant GMs, right? So that's all that this is that he is just the chief executive operator of the company, of this family business, right? And so he is a person who, accordingly, again, for those people who assume that they think that they are electing presidents into the office, use the emotion of the people of downtroddenness and disenfranchisement on the image, likeness, right? Maybe spirit of, but not biologically tied. And I'm going to say that again. They use the image, likeness, right? Let's say swag, right? Personification, but biologically has no ties. So, based on the generalization that many of us, when we were in school and we learned about Abraham Lincoln, the underlying, that the thing that was the capstone of that information was that Lincoln freed the slaves. So he becomes a figment of our imagination as a hero to black people. Okay? And so when you try to associate yourself with black people, you're going to use that which connects and binds so that it becomes a way for you to associate. Okay? Now again, I'm not saying he's not of the melanated family, right? In one aspect, but we're talking about of this landmass. And so when he is speaking on this commence, he's talking about how he says this, right? Remember, go back into the video. I'm going to show you the clip where it says, "I cannot claim to know as much about his life and works as many who are also speaking today." Now, when he sits there and he says that he cannot claim to know, right? What is another form of fashion of ways? What is he really saying, right? When someone says claim, right? This is what they're saying in another reference, or these are other words that are associated with claim. So you can also have him to say, I cannot deserve to know, right? I cannot be entitled to know. I cannot pretend to know. I cannot commandeer to know. I cannot proclaim to know. I cannot hold to know. I cannot profess to know. I cannot admit to know. I cannot acknowledge to know. I cannot postulate to know. I cannot take for granted to know. So, with that being said, that means that when he's making this speech, and those who can discern, right, like those who talk from a lineage point of view, a man who is speaking to be in likeness of trial and tribulation, who actually has no relevance to it whatsoever, is speaking on the behalf of us, but in words and deeds seem to be a contradiction. So, when he says, I cannot claim, he means he leaves the door open, right? He's leaving that door open for those who may be history buffs or historians and know the history and have looked at that particular story and have broken it down and realized that what they present to us may not be what you think it is. And so people have taken that Lincoln story and used it in a part of their mind as why they believe when they use certain terms to think that that's what they are. But his own words will show you what his real stance was. Now, Obama leaves the door open by saying he claims, I cannot claim, or he justifies what was done on the behalf of Lincoln, right? Because he claimed, I don't know everything. I don't know everything about Lincoln, but I know what they present in this country about Lincoln, and that's what the majority of the people who believe in Lincoln, this is what they do know or believe, and I'm speaking on that behalf. I'm not talking about what Mr. Blows Your Mind is about to talk about. I don't know nothing about that. I'm acting as if I don't know like that. Yet, I'm a professor, I'm a constitutional lawyer, as well a professor But I don't know what that was Mr. Blowsurmind about to talk about. I don't have no knowledge of that, right? And so he chose not to remember, right? For really, it really doesn't affect him personally, right? The Lincoln story and what transpired in history doesn't have a real relevancy to a person who is not of the biological lineage of the land. So it gives you, again, you use the image, the likeness, the articulation, the swag, but your blood don't tie. So what makes you really the voice, the leader of people who keep proclaiming to say that you represent them? Why do you get to be representing people that you really are not biologically tied? Yes, your wife may be one, but she is not the CEO. She's just the wife of the CEO. She has some duties, but she cannot induce, you know what I'm saying? She cannot be a power source in the game of that game. So that was used again to do what? To make you believe. Because again, his lineage, or like our lineage who claim, we claim the lineage of this land. He cannot, yet he used to get in position with it. Because then he can say the things that he's going to say. Because he will turn around in the next part, when the clip I'm showing you, it says, we were at heart one nation and one people sharing a bond as Americans. Really? We were at heart. At heart, when you understand the representation symbolism of heart can also mean the true seat of intelligence, right? So of the mind, right? It is the center of the operation of the body. It's also represented as the sun and of love, right? Okay, so you mean to tell me that the people of that particular time at heart were looking at us as one nation? Or were we just the foundation, the support, the revenue, the economics that made the nation what it became, and then it was a separation, a distinction between you and I, right? So we, at the heart of the core of the intellect, the center, their love, we were never one nation. There was a separation. There was the slave, the servant, then the master. Those are 3 tiers. And on those 3 tiers, we were at the very bottom. Still up until 100 years after Lincoln fighting for civil rights. So at heart, we were not one nation. We were different. And so for him to sit there and to say this is disingenuous. It's not real. It is just words, sweet tongue, you understand? Smooth like butter, but in actuality and facts, it is not real. One people sharing a bond as American, the only bond that was shared here, right? What is the link? What is the connection? What is the cord? What is the chains, the shackles, the fetters, the yoke? What was that? Slavery. That was the only bond that was shared with our ancestry in this land. There was no other bond other than slavery. So, one people sharing a bond? No. our experience is entirely different than anybody else's experience. And yet, you try to commingle us as one. You're trying to use symbolisms like that's what it is. But that's the game that's being played here. So, when you think about that bond and the position we were in, when you think about that word sacrifice, which is blood, the most precious offering of all is a sacrifice. And our ancestors have gave so much to this land that for the position that we have been in this land and we continue to be in this land is a constant slap in our face, a trotting over the ancestral memory and their contributions to a land that many people from all over have benefited. Now, let's look at it this way. Those people who are part of the Christian doctrines or denominations, if you're a Protestant, which a lot of you don't study the history to really know what a Protestant is, but the Protestants were fleeing from persecution from the Catholics in the Catholic countries, right? And where did they flee to? America. The Catholics was fleeing from the Protestants in Protestant countries, fleeing where? Here to America. The Quakers, who were they fleeing from? The Anglicans. Who was them? From the Church of England. Where did they come? To America. The Germans were fleeing from innumerable principalities, right? Where did they come? To America. When you look at the British Isles, when you talk about Ireland and Scotland, England and Wales, right? Those who called themselves separatists, them pilgrims, right? That was under that William Bradford. They wanted to be separate, right? From where they came from. Where did they come? To America. So that they could do what? Be what they are. What about them Puritans? They wanted to find a Bible commonwealth. Where did they establish that at? Here in America. What about them Presbyterians? Who were kind of akin in spirit to the Puritans, but they were considered really Scottish Covenanters, right? They were cruelly repressed, but where did they end up coming? To America, right? And they had kept flooding here for over hundreds of years, these people, right? And in them coming here, and those who are part of that, when they want to talk about the distinction between master, servant, and slave, those servants had a years of time, and then they could get some of the benefits of those who came here. You know, they was given 50 acres of land per person, regardless of how many people was in your clan or family, right? So when you see George Washington, and George Washington had these hundreds of thousands of acres, yeah, that's because this is why they were talking about this 3/5, because they was acquiring so much land per person, slaves, servants, family members, that it was a viable economical venture that you would take as many people as you could, because when you got there, you were going to amass all this acreage of land. This is where the 40 acres and the mule is really deriving from, what they owed us, because you gave it to the servants who now today want to sit here and tell you that we were just like you. No, but you got a head start. Where we still have nothing, and we're still fighting and scraping, trying to make some ways, and then people think that we can just build this black metropolis in the 21st century when we're just starting to now try to, bring some kind of unification together to try to do some of these things. So is that a farce? Is that a farce? So then you got the fact that he says, and could bend but would not break. Well, what was it that could bend? What was he talking about? to flex? Huh? What is the flex? The contort, the curve, to deviate, the mold or shape, regulate or prevail, the soften up, dominate, subdue, or succumb. Huh? That is Lincoln's ideology, which I'm going to touch on, which is the foundation of how they came up with black, the black hatred, or really it is the diagram. It is the blueprint. That was the model. But they sold us and told us something entirely different. That ain't true. Right? So it is that what I will go into on the next clip about that is what could not be bend and would not break. That is what we've been fighting from, because that was the last government since what Lincoln issued has never been brought back, because that whole administration, again, go back and look at my video, the letter, the Pope's letter to black people. The last standing government in this country was during Lincoln's time. And if whatever mantra that he set up, the ideology and the platform, that's what we've been fighting this whole time. Okay? So I'll touch on that more when I get there. But the last part of this is that he says the most lasting monument we could build, that most remarkable event, Abraham Lincoln. Now, when you talk about monument, most people would think statue, right? But also could just mean the historical importance or the interest. That's more like it. It is that historical importance of what Lincoln mentality and real agenda was, that what we today still are fighting against. So that remarkable event, that farce of the Emancipation Proclamation, which emancipation meaning freedom, the freeing, the liberation, the liberty, the enfranchisement, the unbinding, the redemption, right? Proclamation is just the announcement, a statement, a profession, a formal notice, an edict like a king, a papal bull like the Pope, a decree like a king, fiat like the government, like a bounced check. I'm going to get to that. And that's what's coming up next. That R. Kelly group. You remember? They used to call themselves Public Announcement. You remember that song? That R. Kelly song? When he said that slow dance. I think it's called slow dance, right? But no, that's what it was. But it was Lincoln's Day. That's where he got it from. It was Lincoln's Day. This is what they told him. Hey, Mr. Lincoln, why don't you slow those niggas down? Slow them down. Going on to the next. But first, what is the foundation? All right, so now what we have is we have the words from the horse's mouth, which is Abraham Lincoln. Now, I know that you're not supposed to speak of people who have passed in a negative light, but this is going over history. And so when you're going over history, we're going to have to be able to take the exact words of people and to put it under the microscope to see what was the mindset or the agenda that was laid when this person, who was considered to be the chief executive operator of a land during a time where people state and use as if this was the hero that black people were to use as showing that we had been freed. Now, as you've seen, as it scrolls down and it talks about, I am not nor ever have been in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equalities of the black and white races. Now again, these are the words of the president. We see today in 2016, you see Donald Trump. And many people, because a lot of people are just kind of a little bit brand new out of the pack, that the words and the rhetoric that is coming out of his mouth seems to be alien. It seems to be the most vilest things you have ever heard. But if we would go back to the Lincoln versus Douglas debate and see these words being stated, can you tell the difference? Or is one worse than the other? Well, let's take what it is said. Let's take that and break it down and look at it for what it truly says. Now, I am not nor ever, right? When you look at that word ever, you have an interpretation of mind. Now, if you're a wordologist and you break words down, ever also can say always, forever, at all times, eternally, everlastingly, in all ages, to the end of time, till the crack of doom, till doomsday, to the last syllable of the recorded time, right? So when Lincoln says, I am not nor ever have been in favor of bringing about, right? Then he goes on and says, there's any ways, which is other ways to say that is anyhow, in any way, in any case, at any event, no matter what, regardless, in spite of the facts, notwithstanding, at any rate, or nevertheless, right? Lincoln was not for black people. I'm going to say that again. Lincoln was not for black people. In his own words, he is showing you what they recorded, that he said verbatimly, that he has never been in the favor. And let's take that word, favor, right? Because we're going to use favor later now on another part. So let me get it out the way now, which is favor is just a kind act, like a good deed or a good turn, labor of love, right? Courtesy, right? Blessing can be grant, compassion, sympathy, approval, or special interest, right? So Lincoln never sought you as black people in mind to be, right, at any time, the social political equality. Now, social means status, the entitlement, or stature like the white man. In Lincoln's eyes, you were never going to be equally in status, the same entitlements, or have the same stature as white people, right? That's what he said. Those are his words. I went to take what his words said compared to what he had done, because equality, right? When he means equality, it is the equivalent. It is the oneness, the sameness, unity, symmetry, proportion, balance, agreement, accordance, conformity, likeness, comparison, justice, impartiality, fair field, and no favor. Do we have any of that is considered equality? Or are we always on the constant fighting? As they say, justice is slow, right? When you say social, you're talking about the community, a human, the collective, popular, what's widespread, common, civic or civil. What about municipal, city, urban, right? Those will be considered your socials. Now, in all that we're talking about, is there equality in our communities compared to white communities? Are we, as the mantra of humans, are we treated equally, collectively? Is being black popular in a white society? Is that social widespread amongst the nation that you have people who are of melanin who will try to throw off their color? Is it a common notion that we see even when they did tests with young children, the doll test, when the little melanated brothers and sisters referred to themselves as evil or bad, but the white was considered to be good and gracious, right? Right? So civic, civil, is it equality? Municipal, we're seeing this, and I'm going to go into that. We talk about this municipalities, right? Is there a difference between the cities where white folks at and where black folks at? What about even in the suburbs? Aren't there certain places in suburbs that are just a community of suburbanite blacks, right? And is their area different in a distinction between the rest of that urban white community? Or suburban community? State laws, when one goes to court, right? In government we see, it's national in this country, and we have to be under federal law to be dealt with, right? So, what about this status? Because see, I'm going to get into that, right? Because status has something to do with position, your posture, your standing, your station, right? The statue, the place, the rank, the level, the grade, the class, the degree, the importance, the consequences, the significance, the reputation, the name, the character, the estimation, the shape, the form, appearance, looks, the air. That is status. And being so-called black Americans, if you don't acquiesce, you have no status. You are, as Lincoln put it, have not been in favor of. Why? Because it came from the highest authority in the corporation company, who became the ownership of black people. And he goes on and he says that I am not nor ever have been in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. Is that true? Are we still fighting that? Huh? Voters, those who say they're participating in this coming election. And then I'm going to show you that how that they had just recently voted in 2006 when it was a 98-0 Senate approves the 25-year extension of Voting Right Act. Huh? Why is it, if you are a natural citizen in this country, that they have to legislate when you can continue to hold that privilege? And even in 2014, you see that Obama pushes Congress to renew the Voting Right Act. Please, guys, renew it. Huh? If you are so much a part of this, and according to what Lincoln said if that is the case, when they have grand juries that we don't see, right? And how many of us are on real important cases, right? Is there a certain criteria or to be called for those? And he said directly of Negroes. You may have black people who have status, and remember I said status is acquiescing, right? You have to be in a standing, right? Right? You have to have a station in life. You have to have some importance. You have to be able to class. You have to have a certain grade, right? Significance in their eyes. You can't just be a regular Joe Negro who busts his or her ass just to make ends meet. That's not good enough. You're not important enough, right? And so again, this same person who is used as a hero, as the liberator, the freer of black people, says in 1861 or 2, right? That he's saying these things openly, outwardly, right? You talk about Donald Trump, you can go back there. They said it with no hesitation. This was part of his campaign, right? Now, a lot of you who are having these interracial, multicultural relationships, and as well as offsprings, Lincoln would not have been in favor of you, right? He would not have been in favor of you because, again, he did whatever he had to do to save the Union, which means I'll say anything. I'll do anything. For those people who might be listening to me and think that, oh, well, white people in the North help fight for you in the South to free you, that is a trick and a lie. That is not what happened. Go back and read that history carefully. You will see that was just used in the history to tell you, and then matter of fact, to get rid and purge a lot of them, they put them in the wars. And matter of fact, they fought on both sides. Isn't that the tactic that they used? They even used that with the Indians. They had the Indians fighting the Indians and was in the background, and when they got the numbers lower, they go ahead and wipe them off. You understand? Divide and conquer is the tactic. It's always being implemented. So he wasn't for intermarrying with white people. He says, in addition to this, that there is a physical difference between the white and the black races. But everybody keeps saying, we're all the same. We bleed red blood. Huh? The only difference is climatic, geographical. That's what makes the phenols different. No, it's a lot more than that. But that'll be a different video when I get into something like that. Right? Now he says that which he believes will forever forbid the races, the two races. Those physical differences will always forbid the races. Is this a man who's for black people and white and black coming together? Don't sound like it. Don't sound like it at all. He says that he also believes will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality. He says that there's no way there could be an equalness between the two. There's a difference amongst us, and there also has to be a difference in us in status, class, right? Stature, entitlements, and rights. And so he says, and so if they, as long as they cannot so live, while they do remain together, they must be in the positions of superior and inferior. Huh? Lincoln believed that there has to be a difference in we the whites have to always be in a position of superior, and you will take the low as inferior. This is the last standing government that was established in this country, and this is the blueprint. This is your blueprint that we've been fighting, but yet gave you a mind spell to think that somehow you've been freed. No, you just been transferred under a new system with a different ideology or a worse ideology that they fed you to think something else. And he goes on and says, I, as much as any other man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race. Clear, cut, concise, and to the point. He assigns the white race as the superior race. And this is the man that they made black people think that he freed you. He let you go, and you are now a part of the American dream. This is what they tell you. Barack Hussein Obama. Oh, I'm sorry, Abraham Lincoln. So again, like I said before, when we talked about Hillary Clinton, when I stated that Donald Trump can't just put her as the only catalyst for those who have been conjuring up policies, right? Laws, legislation, statutes, right? Again, it's always said that it's a trickle-down effect coming from the top down. So let's look at historically in the country. If you have Lincoln, who's going back into the 1800s, what did you have going into the 20th century? You had presidents like Calvin Coolidge. You had Warren G. Harding. You had Woodrow Wilson. You had Harry Truman. You had William McKinley. These were presidents who were known to have affiliation or had been in membership of the Ku Klux Klan, right? So a lot of people never knew that. So when you know that you have had presidents who have been a part or affiliation with the organization of the Ku Klux Klan, then what does that tell you of the country, right? So when you say presidents, you're only trying to individualize it and make it seem that the only people that would been participant that ever been in the officiating of the land, there only been about 5 that we have really disclosed, or we have not found the, connecting the dots. But somebody may take that and say, well, it's only just 5. You remember that? Going back when I talked about that Hawk, right? Remember him? But what about the capacity of officials operating nationally, right? What if you have people that, districtly, that could be parts of it? What about in the counties? What about stately? What about locally? What about vice presidents? What about governors? What about senators, legislators, judges, mayors, councilmen? What about even professors and teachers, coaches, people who are landowners, right? But what about congressmen? Did y'all see the congressman, that Rick Tyler, who was running for congressman on the Keeping America White, right? Let's make America white again, right? Is he the only one? Is they only making that the certain types of people who are of white lineage are the only face to racism in this country? We can't see that certain people, by the platforms and the institutions or the platforms that they have, that they cannot be propagating this? Is it only these 5 that we can only look to that has been found with information pertaining to that? Or is it someone like this congressman, right? David Duke is another one, right? Then you also have let's say, for instance, when you talk about acquiescence, I talked about earlier, right? When we talked about you can have people who are color because of the blueprint that has been written from Lincoln, and that black has been stigmatized as something to be negative, and that those who are offended of their own image and likeness try to acquiesce into the white paradigm of white philosophy and white supremacy of trying to be accepted. And acquiescence just basically is the assent, right? To consent, to concur, agree, to accept, to buy it, right? Exceed, abide by, comply with, conform to, admit, yield, submit, bow to, give in, take it, acknowledge, recognize, subscribe to, like I want some of y'all to do to my channel, more say, follow the course, right? Or go with the stream, right? So if you have all these different capacities officials who are operating in many different facets of administrations and businesses and professions, this can be an infestation that has been permeated for years. I'm not even going to say have, is an infestation, right? And so it's so infested that let's take, matter of fact, before I go there, because again, when we look at these 5 presidents here, right, from McKinley, right, and Harry Truman and Woodrow Wilson and Warren G. Harding and Calvin Coolidge, right, these are representations of the, the men of power that have been in this country, that they would even elect someone like this in the eyes of black people would seem to be, why, how could they? So those people who are thinking that Donald Trump cannot be, even though a lot of people have their own perception of saying that they think that he was there to actually hand it over to Hillary, but so much stuff is coming out about Hillary that if you do put her in, we have to really question, based on some of the things that are talking about her health and some of the things she did when it came to her server about protecting documents, that will be very questionable, which means you have to look at that vice president and trace that line and find out where he's tied into. So even to the fact that when you look at the money, right, when you look at the money that has been done in this land, from Jefferson, we're talking about Lincoln, to Washington, right, Hamilton, all these people, man, have been people who have not been on the side of our people in this land. And these are just reminders of the foundings or founders and the ideology of the land, right? That's what this has been showing. So when you have somebody who is fighting internally with their own existence of what they see, and they can find little avenues to get out of it, like let's say that we've seen recently about Bow Wow claiming that he was not black, right, because of having a mulatto type of makeup. So let's say somebody like a Sheriff David Clark, as you seen earlier in the clip as I played, right? And here's a man that on appearance, he seems to be a person of American black. That's only on his presence. But when you hear him speak, and again, his title, going back to when we talked about status, right? His position, his posture, his standing and station and status and place and rank and level and grade and class and degree and importance and his consequence and his significance and reputation, his name and character and estimation, shape, form and appearance, looks and airs. He's a sheriff. Now that may not mean much to many people, because again, you have to do history to know how all these things tie. History is the indicator what you need so that you are not fooled about who's where. And then you will understand why certain people in certain positions speak in the way that they do. Now, you know that you heard him speak, right? Before I get into the history of his so-called status, he said that this is a system of intimidation, criminality, and he's tired of this. Now, who is he speaking about when he's talking about a system of intimidation? Is he saying that the people who have been oppressed, disenfranchised, have no real rights? Are they intimidating the system by protesting that speak loudly or having some kind of, march about things? Is this intimidation, or is this a tactic that he's using because, again, his status, right, is tied to something? He's in cahoots. He has acquiesced to something that gave him a position, a platform. And so he says that this is a civil right violation. Now, when you talk about civil rights, have you once ever heard, watching news for how many years ever you've been on this planet, hear white people talking about civil rights being violated? Have you ever heard that? So he's actually speaking about people of color, right? That he talks about Loretta Lynch and how Loretta Lynch is wasting taxpayers' money on going after the police. Now, the police is different from sheriff. Remember, he stated that he is an executive. He's in the executive branch, right? Which, when you think about law enforcement executives, there's 3 branches of government. Now, it falls under state government, the legislative, executive, judiciary, right? Those are the separating powers. Now, which police are really not a part of that, okay? Police are really not a part of those executive branches. Some people will say they are. They have been given some powers, right? But actually, when this whole thing, when it breaks down, it would be like how you look at a security guard in a store or building, but really a police officer is kind of like a security guard that has been given powers to actually take lives, right? The sheriff is an executive power. He's part of the extension of something that I will get to when show you, right? And when you talk about civil rights, especially with people of color, you're talking about people who only justice can only be rendered in a federal court. Why is that? Why can't a black person fighting about injustices go in a state court? Right? Because you got to understand the difference between state, federal, right? And as I said, those legislative and executive judiciaries, right? You got to understand what all that is and how that is something pertaining to different powers or different structures of powers. Okay? And so, he was saying that his concern also is the fact that knowing that resources are being used when Loretta Lynch is going after prosecuting the negligence and sometimes just right out injustices versus people who are defenseless in the country, right? So they're saying they're wasting their money. So that sounds like somebody who's not really looking at himself as the same as others, because he has a title and stature of status, right? He feels that he is above the fray. But he didn't have a problem with advice for Republican participants, supporters, to defend themselves, right? But he who is black, right? He is black. He has nothing for that. When you're seeing brothers and sisters being killed at traffic, that's why I did the reenactment. The reenactment that I did about being in that situation is what it kind of goes, what we go through when we're being accosted by police. They come for whatever reason they do, but they're looking for other ways to, make the arrest. I don't know if there is a kickback for arrest other than position wise, but if you pull me over for, our air freshener, and you start to get into all this other realms of, inquiry, when the transactions is done, the business is done. But sometimes it's extended to the fact that they're going to use the antagonization to justify to getting you out the car to arrest you. So why isn't you, as an executive officer of people that you see that are going through that, you don't have anything to speak of any kind of, let's say, you want to give some advice because you don't see yourself as them, right? So, really when it comes down to, he's a company man. And as a company man, we have to look at this, as I showed you, the 5 presidents. Right? Because you got to remember that Lincoln was the first president in this country to be assassinated. Right? And they'll tell you that John Wells Booth assassinated him, but you don't really get what was the cause and the effects and all that. What was that systemic to? Now let's look at it this way. For some of you who don't know, that you have the Virginia Company, right? That came in 1606, that came from England, and it was the London, Virginia London, I think it's Virginia London, and you have the Virginia Plymouth, right? And these two were chartered types of corporations that were brought here to set up colonies for the monarch. And it was in this setup that got those 13 colonies, and it was those royal governors and royal legislators who were the overseers of working the business for that which was over in England. Now, the thing you have to understand is this. You have to know a little bit of history. You have to know to go back to the time of Charlemagne, not Charlemagne the guy that y'all be watching. We're talking about Charlemagne, what Charlemagne mama or daddy got the name from. Now, Charlemagne got into his kingdom in about 768 AD. Okay? It was Charlemagne who is really the maker of Europe. He's the one that fought off the Moors to keep them from coming into France on one side and protecting the other side, because they was basically surrounded and basically almost took to the brink of extinction. But he saved a bacon, and it was through his administration and the things he set up that you got your officials of the royal court and the great landowners that took advantage, right? You had your great landowners, which are going to be your barons, right? Your merchants and things like that. And then also you're going to have your knights that's going to be established. And that sheriff is going to derive from that knighting, going all the way back to 768 when you got Charlemagne, right? Now, you got to understand that they had those feudal contracts, right? And the contracts, the part of the ceremony was called homage, which was a French word, homie, means man. You know, what's up, homie? That's where it came from. Homie came from homage, which means man, right? And this is what he gave as a the vassals who swore an oath of loyalty to his fealty, which he gave vassals a branch of a lump of earth to symbolize his faith, right? This part of the ceremony was called investitures, right? So what you have is those knights, because they weren't having money yet, they were using lands as part of their payment, and then they would use the land to, you know, grow crops. And there's a part of that, of what they got, they give to the king, and the other would be theirs. And it was that you could actually inherit that if you were part of the family, right? You also gonna get your bishops, right? And nobles are coming out of the time of Charlemagne. Now, when Charlemagne dies in 814, right? And then he had his offsprings trying to rule, but they were not like him. And so they took advantage of that. And this is what broke up and gave all these different so-called powers, right? It's where this whole game is going to come later on down, where mugs is certain people want to talk about your status, right? What is your status? This is where this is coming from, right? And so when you get over into this land, right, it trickles back. Right, it's going to trickle from Charlemagne's time to when it's going to get over to England and become, you know, where England is going to rule and use its common law, and that stuff is going to come here. Now, those people that came here, right, again, going to that Virginia, the London, Virginia, and the Plymouth, the 13 colonies, did you know that they also had, when you hear, you know, you heard the word, or what they call the Board of Trade, but they used to be Board of Trade, right? Board of Trade and plantations. Did you know that? That Parliament had established in 1696 the Board of Trade and Plantation that presided over the Britain's colonies down to the time of that revolution. And this was set up by the, you know, where they got that Privy Council, which ended up becoming Parliament, right? And then you had your royal governors and legislators that were here. Now, you got to ask yourself, originally, according to history, Portuguese, Spain, France, then England or Britain, and then it got stolen from them. But who stole it from them is the question. And so when you see the North and the South fighting back, when you're talking about Lincoln, what they're talking about is South had an allegiance because it was part of, when you read history, that what they were manufacturing and what they were supplying back to again, remember, they were part of charters, right? These was part of the king's land. And these were, remember, they call themselves Knights of Columbus. Knights, going back to who? Their feudal contract. So these were the people who were tied back to where? England, Britain. The North were your barons and nobles, and you understand? These were the ones that broke away later, that got their titles going back from Charlemagne and them. So you have a country divided amongst this. So they want to get this part out so that they can run it. That's why we got this so-called commercialism. This whole country is based on that, right? So you end up having your merchants that end up having a country, right? Using some of the legalities and structure of how England ran, they're now doing it that way. And so the sheriff is deriving, that's why he speaks in a way, is because his allegiance is back to the king, going back to Britain, going back to Europe. Now you know why he speaks in the way he does. Is because that's who he's down with. And anybody who is having any problems with the land and problems or the positions of what legislator have set, then he got a problem with you. It's not about race with him. It's all business. And so that's how you get your shires, right? Shires would be these districts and lands that these sheriffs, right? Knights, the barons. And that's where that Magna Carta comes in at. See, people talked about when Jay-Z came at the Magna Carta, but you had to be, again, in the status of privileged position of a merchant, landowner, you know, priest, all that. Those who were benefiting from the Magna Carta. A regular man didn't benefit from that, right? Because when you take it back and understand what a free man was, what is a free man, right? A free man was a landowner. So the free man was a landowner, one who owned land. So you're not a free man until you own land. So as long as black people don't own land, you have no rights and you are not free. And that's what we've been fighting, because they already set up when they got the nobles, right? The barons, right? Your guilds, all that has been set up. This game was all, by the time we come out of slavery, the game is already so set up that for us to be talking what we're talking today, you know, you're gonna have to really look at it and really to understand it.
Let me read you part of what Trump's statement was, and then we'll talk about it, okay? The names on this letter are the ones the American people should look to for answers on why the world is a mess. And we thank them for coming forward so everyone in the country knows who deserves the blame for making the world such a dangerous place. They are nothing more than the failed Washington elite looking to hold on to their power, and it's time they are held accountable for their actions, end quote. What do you think of that?
I think it would be better to have not issued a statement and simply ignored it and moved on. Yesterday he had a good speech on the economy. He could build on that and get in an argument with Hillary Clinton. It's best for him not to...
No group in America has been more harmed by Hillary Clinton's policies than African Americans. No group. No group. If Hillary Clinton's goal was to inflict pain on the African American community, she could not have done a better job. It's a disgrace. Tonight, I'm asking for the vote of every single African American citizen in this country who wants to see a better future. Look how much African American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose by trying something new like Trump? What do you have to lose? I say it again, what do you have to lose? Look, what do you have to lose? You're living in poverty, your schools are no good, you have no jobs, 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose? America must reject the bigotry of Hillary Clinton, who sees communities of color only as votes, not as human beings worthy of a better future.